So my passion for body language is already for over 20 years because I had a hearing problem when I was young. And on the way, Kasia and I found each other and we fit very well together, not only in love, but also in our intention to inspire others to build happier lives.
And it was funny that we met on the business meeting for the first time. So it was very interesting business meeting and quite long.
And in the meantime, we've trained thousands of people in this fascinating science of body language and microexpressions, and we love to do keynotes and corporate trainings. And one of our quality marks is that we appear every month on TV and in the press with analysis of politicians and public figures, just like Robert Phipps in the UK. And we've also certified trainers in Belgium and Netherlands who give trainings about body language at our Center for Body Language. And one of the things that we are unique in the world in is the micro-expression training videos, which is the only tool in the world which teaches you how to see micro-expressions thanks to videos. Now, maybe you're curious, what are micro-expressions? Micro-expressions, and you can see now on your screen a slow motion movement on Kasia's face, are movements of facial muscles that are shorter than half a second. So they're very, very, very quick. And you might have the impression from various TV series that they are proof of lying. Well, they are not. There is not a single sign of lies that is definitely 100% a sign of a lie. There are only deception clues, just like Robert explained. And because microexpressions are signals of emotions, they're one of the most reliable, maybe even the most reliable signs to detect lies. And what's also useful about them is that all microexpressions, the 7 basic ones that we cover, are the same in every single culture. So whether you are in the US, in the UK, in Belgium, or in Japan right now, you show as a human the 7 basic facial expressions, microexpressions, in exactly the same way. So that's great, but what are the advantages of knowing how to read microexpressions? Well, the fact is that people don't say what they really think or feel. And that's why microexpressions are useful for people who are in sales, negotiations. If somebody wants to sell a house or buy a house, which is quite a large investment, you can see on that person's face whether that house is okay or not okay, or too expensive, or maybe it's a good deal. Very useful for HR managers to see if the candidates lie or not, for coaches or trainers to see emotions on their client's face and to get deeper in their belief system. And obviously, Glenna knows that. It's very useful for police agents, advocates, and judges.
And also to get closer contact with people and to understand more the relationship and the deeper side, the deeper level of the relationship. And even in our case, it was interesting at the beginning of our relationship with Patrick that I remember when I disagree with Patrick at the beginning, I was always smiling. And Patrick, for the first time, he didn't recognize that I'm angry. But later on, when he just tried to detect my micro-expression, it appeared clear that there was anger masked by smile. So it's very useful also for the relationship. But you need to look deeper, and sometimes it's even more difficult when you are closer with somebody. And yes.
And that's why microexpressions can be very useful, because have a look at this sentence.
Yes, the correct punctuation can save a person's life. Actually, here, this is only the comma that is changing. Let's eat grandpa, or let's eat grandpa. And it's the same with microexpressions. When you know how to recognize microexpression, sometimes it's changing the whole meaning of the sentence. So microexpressions reveal the real meaning of what you hear.
Yeah, let's have a look at this one.
Yes, we have some examples. For example, there's a sentence, I'm afraid we don't have the budget right now. You can hear the sentence on the business meeting. And depending on the microexpression, you can read different things from the sentence. For example, here, if I would be showing sadness at the beginning, so that's true. I would like to do this project right now, but we don't have budget. So I'm incongruent. I'm in congruence with what I'm saying. And if it would be...
Yeah. If it would be at the end, what then?
So this is contempt. It will have totally different meaning because in this case, actually, I would be, or Patrick would be happy that we don't have budget right now because we don't like the proposal.
Maybe for some people to clarify contempt is the same as feeling superior, feeling better than somebody else. So here you see myself doing contempt and saying, I'm afraid I don't have the budget right now, but actually I'm feeling better than the other person. So I'm not really meaning that sentence. Let's have a look at another example. If somebody says, I'm sorry for what happened yesterday, is this a lie or is it the truth? Well, it depends on the microexpressions you see or not see.
So if you see the microexpression of sadness at the beginning of the sentence that comes first before the words, so probably this is true. Because first I feel the emotion and then I'm saying it.
Yeah, that's what Robert talked about, the when you say it and when you see the microexpression. That's important because if you see it later on, then it's completely different.
And in this case, first I'm saying it and then I'm trying to feel it. So it comes a little bit later.
Yeah, because you realize, oh, I'm saying I'm sorry, so I have to look sorry. So, well, depending on where you see the microexpression, it's the truth or not. And then let's have a look at this example.
Actually, it could be the same with at the end of the sentence that the person feels superior. So probably he's not sorry about what happened yesterday. He's just saying it, but he doesn't mean it.
Yeah, exactly. So how can you read microexpressions? Let's have a look at 3 of them. 3 that are easy to spot. This is disgust. What happens is with disgust is that one tries to block their olfactory ways. Imagine that you open the fridge and that you take out a cheese that's been there for 4 weeks and it's completely green. Imagine you do that right now and make that face yourself. It's really disgusting, right? That cheese. So your upper lip goes up higher to block what comes into your nose. And this is what makes your nose wrinkle a little bit. So you see wrinkles around the nose. And this is a very reliable way to see disgust on somebody's face. Because disgust will always show wrinkles around the nose. Now, if you think that it's always like that, well, it's not always like that. Because on these pictures, you see that tennis players can also show disgust. Well, no, that's a joke actually. Tennis players cannot show disgust. It's just an expression of effort. And scientist Scher has analyzed this carefully and concluded that, however, you see the action unit number 10, muscle movement here, which is responsible for an impression of disgust, this is not disgust. So, in other words, disgust shows always wrinkles around the nose, but wrinkles around the nose don't always show disgust. In other words, if you see this on your partner's face, well, before you go see that relationship coach because she shows disgust on her face, well, better have a good interpretation before you interpret that as real. So it's really important to know how to make that difference between a micro-expression that is correct and one that is something that looks like. And it's useful to have some training about that, definitely. What's also useful is to know how happiness looks like. Obviously, happiness usually looks like this, a big smile. But this is not a micro expression. This is a macro expression, really a big one, because it usually takes longer than half a second, a smile like this. But if you have both sides of the lips that go up in only half a second of time, well, then this is a micro expression of happiness. And this can be useful when I'm talking with Kasia and I'm asking her, shall we stay this evening at home, or shall we meet some friends, or shall we go watch a movie? And when I see both of her lips go up while I say, let's go for a movie, then I know her answer non-verbally. And this can be very useful in sales meetings, business meetings, HR interviews, and so on, to see whether somebody's really happy or not. Contempt, as I said before, is a feeling of being better, feeling superior than somebody else. And this you can see on somebody's face when just one of the lip corners is raised, so it's half a smile. And now it's time for you for a quiz. And raise your hand if you think that this expression is correct, that this expression is true. A true expression of superiority, of contempt, is always on one side of the face, is always asymmetrical. Raise your hand if you think it's true. All right, very good. I will lower all hands. And now raise your hand if you think that the statement is false. Well, it's approximately half-half, a little bit more think that the statement is false. Well, actually the statement is true. A true expression of contempt is always asymmetrical, is always shown as a half smile. This is why it's useful, and it's very easy actually to learn those micro expressions, to make a difference and know exactly what they mean.
There's also interesting that we can distinguish negative and positive microexpressions on the subconscious level. There was research with the EMG procedure, so with electrodes on your face that were detecting your facial muscle movements. And in the same time, it was shown to people on the very quick speed, different microexpressions. So it was under the level of consciousness. And what was discovered that we can distinguish when the microexpression is negative and when is it positive. So this is a very interesting conclusion that when you meet somebody for the first time, you can already answer the question if you like this person or not based on microexpressions.
Yeah, and then what's useful for you? This statement is actually just for fun, because microexpressions has nothing to do with beauty. So this statement is false. However, I can testify from my own experience that when I met Kasia for the first time, I wasn't so focused at her micro-expressions. Actually, what were you looking at, Kasia?
In my eyes.
Yeah. All right. So you were looking at,
Yes.
I was looking at your eyes mainly.
And you were even talking about my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a question for you. I'll lower first all hands. What do you think about this statement? Is it true or false? Raise your hand if you think it's true, that you can predict the outcome of a marriage based on microexpressions. Okay, good. I'll lower all hands. And now everybody who thinks that this statement is false, raise your hand. Again, this is half-half, with a slightly preference for false. Well, this statement is true, because scientist Gottman has conducted a study in 94 on married couples, and it concluded that there is a correlation between the chance on a divorce and the amount of microexpressions of contempt or disgust shown between the partners. He hasn't seen any correlation between divorce or a possibility for divorce and anger, what you would intuitively think, but only one between contempt, disgust, and the possibility of divorce.
So the conclusion for this is that it's the criticism that destroys the marriage, not anger. So because it creates a barrier between people.
And there is another conclusion. If you see disgust on your partner's face, you need urgently to see a relationship coach, both of you, preferably. How can you use microexpression to spot liars? Well, some might think that the polygraph is more reliable than a judgment based on microexpressions to detect lies. Well, there's been a lot of studies about this topic, but there is actually none until today that can answer this question correctly. So, why? Well, the accuracy of a judgment, if somebody lies or not, whether it's based on the polygraph or microexpressions, depends largely on who is making the judgment, and especially how much experience this person has in detecting lies. So, when making interpretations, there are very many factors to take into account. And let's exercise this on a few pictures and cases. This is again a question for you. Have a look at this microexpression, at this facial expression of this candidate. And if you see this microexpression on a candidate's face, while that candidate is speaking about her success in her previous job, raise your hand if you think that she's lying about it in her CV. So raise your hand if you think that she was not so successful. Okay, very good. Now raise your hand if you think that she tells the truth. She has been very successful. Okay, a slight majority thinks that this is true, that she lies about her CV. Well, actually, it's false. She speaks the truth. She shows the microexpression of happiness because she's happy about her success. So if she would show another microexpression, for example, one of fear, that would mean that she was not so successful and she is fearful to talk about it. But in this case, the microexpression, the body language, is the same as what you hear in the words, so probably this is true. Okay, very good. Now, another question for you.
So, if a candidate says that he really likes doing sales calls, and shows this microexpression, what do you think about that? Is he telling the truth?
Raise your hand if you think that he's telling the truth, that he likes to do sales calls. 10% of you think that this is true. Now, everybody who thinks this is false, raise your hand. Who thinks that this is false? He does not like to do sales. Okay, right. You got lesson from before. What you see here is clearly disgust. So yes, he does not like. So no, he does not like to do sales calls. Obviously, because he's disgusted by sales calls. That's what you see in half a second in the facial expression of this person.
And this is important that in this case you see that he's lying. And you see the incongruence between his words and his body language.
Yes, and that's why we've developed a body language congruency model, which helps you to make a difference when it's just a conversational signal you see in the facial expressions and a real microexpression that is a sign of deception. Now, what might be interesting also is that microexpressions performed on purpose are asymmetrical. They are different on one side of the face than on the other side of the face. And this is research that Ekman, Joseph Hager, and then Wallace Friesen have published in 81 in Psychology magazine. And because when we show microexpressions spontaneously, we just react with our emotions, with our body, and they are activated by the autonomous nervous system, the lower parts of the brain. When we are acting, when we're performing microexpressions on purpose, it's the upper parts of our brain that processes information. And that's why they appear more asymmetrical. They look less natural. So microexpressions, not only the signs itself, but how they are shown on the face, can give you clues about whether somebody's telling the truth or not. Let's have a look at some more cases. And about, I guess, 5 or 10 minutes, I think it's time for the questions from your side. Question for you. If a salesperson is announcing the price while showing this microexpression, you might end up paying too much. Raise your hand if you think it's true. Okay, very good. Most of you that think that they will end up paying too much, very good, because this is contempt, this is superiority, and indeed, he's happy that he'll be able to charge you a higher price. Let's skip that one because we don't have much time. And however, this is, let's have a look at this one.
What we can
we can just briefly sum it up.
Yes.
So if you see this micro expression on somebody's face, this is one of sadness, and your partner is coming back from shopping and she has sadness on her face. She's sad because she probably spent a lot of money on a new dress.
This is a speculation.
Yeah, this is speculation. Now, you can see also sadness on your partner's face when he's coming back from shopping. Electronic gadgets. And in this case, it's a different case, a different context. The same micro-expression of sadness has a different meaning. He probably spent a lot of money on buying new electronic gadgets. That's why he's sad.
And that's why it's important to set a baseline before any analysis, because the body language is only in 80% correct, and sometimes it could be that the person means something else. It could be that he's sad because of a totally different reason, and you need to also take this under your consideration.
Now let's have a look at the lessons learned. From this webinar, you know that this is a micro-expression of contempt, of superiority, one side of the lips raised. This is one of disgust. When you see this on somebody's face for half a second even, that person is disgusted. They don't like it at all, what they hear or what they see. And when you see this, briefly speaking, that person is happy. Happy about what they hear, about what they are saying. Now these micro-expressions, they're very, very, very quick. They flash in just half a second on somebody's face. And to learn to distinguish them from in daily life, in conversations, we've developed the only one in the world program that teaches you how to see those facial expressions on somebody's face. And this one is called Micro-Expression Training Videos. This is a short demo how it looks like. You will see inside the program videos, 200 videos of real life simulations on somebody's face. And next to that, you will be able to choose which micro-expression you saw. If you think you saw contempt, you choose contempt, the video will play again, and it will play over and over again until you get it right. You can replay it in slow motion as much as you want. And this will give you, based on 200 videos, a lot of insights how to see them in daily life. So you can play around with this tool, and from usually persons who take the test, the first time they have about 10 to 20% a score, or 30% is quite a lot. And after just 1 hour training with slow speed, normal speed, double speed to increase your intuition, in listening mode to see micro expression when somebody's listening, or in speaking to see them while somebody's speaking. You have a lot of videos there. You can get your score up to 80% in just 1 hour. And that there is included a whole training for every single micro expression, how you can see it on somebody's face in all the types, all the 27 most used types of those 7 micro expressions. If you'd like to know more about this, just go to our website, microexpressiontrainingvideos.com, and on this website you can buy a license for 1 year or become, and we're searching for representatives in every country. I'll just put the link on the chat window and you'll be able to go to this website just by clicking the link that you will receive right now. Now, facial expressions have been reserved for scientists until today, but this has changed because MeTV microexpression training videos makes learning and teaching microexpressions really simple. And that's why we're looking for persons who'd like to become microexpressions representatives in various countries. We've got a lot of certified trainers in Belgium, but not yet in all the other parts of the world. And as you know, there are only very few people in the world who know, who are experienced about microexpressions. So there is a world of opportunity out there for you to be able to find clients. If you are an experienced coach, an experienced trainer, we are looking for you to join our team of local representatives in body language training and microexpression training. So you will find all information about pricing. Even if you're in France or in Germany, wherever you are, we'd love to work with you to translate microexpression training videos in your local language. Actually, it's already in 4 languages. And let's work together for you to become the local, most experienced microexpression trainer.
Arabic is also possible.
Yes, Arabic is also possible.
Yes.
And now it's time for questions. So if you have any questions, post them in the questions or chat window. And we have already a lot of questions. Let's have a look. Few of them. Okay.
Raise one eyebrow.
What we'll do also at the same time is I'll lower all hands and we can unmute your microphone if you have questions, and you can ask them also live. So right now you can raise your hand if you want,